So, Syed, welcome, formally welcoming you to Aaron's Opinion too. So Syed, how did you originally get into podcasting and that type of thing? Let's start with your podcast. My first question is this. Number one, how did you get into podcasting? Do you podcast in Urdu or English? And what do you podcast about? Go ahead.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would love to thank you that you invited me in your podcast. How I started my podcast in the last lockdown. I think obviously in the month of June or July 2020, I started doing interviews. Before, I never did any interviews on either on the Facebook or YouTube. So on in June 2020, I started some interviews. I did 20 interviews in 5 or 6 days, and then I started taking interviews daily, 4 or 5 interviews of different kind of persons. Either I do into most of the interviews I did in my own language is called Urdu. So then after that, I started doing interviews all around the world. The people who are not from Pakistan, they are from different countries like USA, UK, Australia, Russia, different kind of the world, different part of the world, China. So then I say, why not I start doing interviews of different people from all over the world? Then I start adding some new friends on my Facebook, as I added you also on the Facebook, and I send them requests, asking them in the messenger, would you like to give me an interview? First of all, I just gave them an introduction that this is my Monim Rizvi. I'm done my master's in computer science. I'm doing as a visiting lecturer in the Islamic University of Bahawalpur. Plus, I'm a adventurous, so I do some traveling. But due to COVID, we can't travel from one city to another city. So that I moved my things to the podcasting, and I started my podcasting, and I did more than 500 interviews in last 10 months.
Excellent. Well, that's really awesome. I think my story, as we were saying before I pushed record, my story is similar. When I was in, or when also during lockdown, I was listening to a lot of podcasts from around the world. And a lot of these podcasts were about, disability issues and issues that concern me. But I noticed that none of these other podcasts were open. And in my opinion, I think a podcaster needs to be open and ready to interview anyone from any country basically at any time. So, I have a lot of opinions, Saeed, about the world and about life and about philosophy. And I wanted to be able to share my opinions with you and with the world, and to hopefully give you some knowledge, to hopefully give out knowledge, and truly be able to help others in that way by giving factual information or knowledge. And that's what I do here at my podcast. Most of, I don't want to say most, but many or a vast majority of the people on the podcast, might have a disability that they're overcoming in their life. They might be a business owner. They might be from any country. We do have listeners all over the world. Never from Pakistan. You are the first. I believe you are most definitely the first Pakistani here on the podcast, and
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm I'm really glad you're here.
It's an
So
honor
when
for me. It's an honor for me to have you on your show.
Cool, cool. So when you interview people though, like, I mean, you found me basically through social media, looking things up on YouTube, things like that. But when you interview people, what types of topics do Pakistanis like to talk about when you have a podcast? What are some common issues that are discussed?
Okay. Nowadays, as you know, it's a lockdown. Everyone is sitting in the home and want to do something new. So
Hmm.
in Pakistan, we are too much working on the entrepreneurship. So I love to talk people on different kind of ideas, entrepreneurship, technoship, social entrepreneurship. So we are most of the podcasting I'm doing outside the Pakistan. We're talking on the regarding entrepreneurship. Plus, if I have someone who is expert in his field, either he's a Reiki master, he's a Toastmaster. So we did session of different kind of people with different kind of field, different kind of experience. If someone is a businessman, we did podcast with them regarding business. I also have done interviews with different kind of people who are expert in podcasting. They are running full their social media team, and they are following and different kind of podcasting, and they are giving them expert opinions, and they're telling what they have to do improve in their podcasting. So I done different kind of interviews of different kind of people, different kind of field.
Excellent. So, what other Americans have you interviewed? What are some North American topics that you've already covered on your channel? Ha- have you?
Like I have some very good friends from USA,
Mm-hmm.
and they are like I have a very good friend from USA. Her name is Inga, and she's a professor in the university. So I did her two interviews in last 10 months, after 5 months, and then I did, and then we met last month in the Pakistan. She came Pakistan, she visited Karachi. I went there to visit her, to meet her, and it was wonderful. And I'm like, we did talk 2 times ago on the Facebook through a StreamYard. I use StreamYard for live broadcasting because I didn't record any interview. I do live broadcasting,
Mm-hmm.
podcasting. So it's a little bit difficult because you have to respond at the moment. Like if someone has answered your question and you have to make another question from that answer, so you have to respond quickly
Right.
on that
Yeah.
question.
And I
So
noticed.
it's a little bit tough, but what I love to talk with people. Before I was like so much shy. I don't want to talk with everyone. If someone didn't appear me, like I don't want to talk. But now I can talk with anyone from all around the world. Either he or she can speak English or not, but we can talk. Either we can talk in the sign languages. Either we can talk from eyes to eye. Either we can talk in my own language or English. Like we can talk anyway. We can do some conversation.
I really like your attitude. I really like your approach for life, your philosophy of just being willing. Your willingness is really shining through, and that really serves you well as a content creator and as a podcaster. That's a really good personality trait to have. I really respect you for that. I really respect that personality trait. And and that's something that I try to achieve as well, to which I confess that I have not perfected that trait, but it's a really good trait to work on. It's an excellent answer. So yeah, I've noticed some of my other friends, who like to do their podcast over StreamYard, also struggle in answering the comments. That can be very difficult for people. They just want to talk and then they forget to look at the comments. So that's a very
Exactly.
tricky thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Especially
I
on,
can
on the
understand.
yeah, on the Facebook side. They'll be on StreamYard. I might comment on Facebook and they never see it, or they comment about it a couple days later, which is still good. But it would be kind of cool if people got good at doing it all at once. But it's
Yeah.
it's very
Uh,
it's
you
very
know, you know, I was using the professional StreamYard, the paid to, so we can go live at a time to 10 places. So we will be live into 3 or 4 Facebook pages, 2 or 3 YouTube channels, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. So we were live all around the social media, except Instagram, IG. We were live on
Mhm.
every other platform.
Right. Sure. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really really good. So, and what about what are some really interesting or some really surprising topics that you have had the opportunity of covering on your podcast? In other words, some topics that you didn't really think you would cover. What do you think?
I remember 2 or 3 interviews. Like I never talked on entrepreneurship because I never be the student of the business. I am a student of the science, computer science, and I have done my masters. Like full, I have done in computer science. So I never thought anyway that I should do talk on the entrepreneurship. Now people suggest me that I should start a podcast, especially for the entrepreneurship. So because I did a lot of interviews of different kind of entrepreneurship, I always love to talk about new things, new innovations. And when you are an entrepreneur, or you love to take interviews of entrepreneur, you become also entrepreneur. So after taking a lot of interviews of entrepreneur, now I think I'm going to start soon in this coming June. I'm starting my podcast only for the entrepreneurs. That specific, that my only guests are all those people are should be entrepreneur, and I'm going to take interviews from all around the world, not only from Pakistan, not only from USA. I'm taking interviews from all around the world, and these interview must be at least of 25 minutes, in which I'm talking only 5 to 10%, and 90% my guests will be talking on different topics, on different questions.
Really good. Really, really good. Now, originally, why did you study computer science in the university?
Why I did learn, why I studied computer science is a good question. It's the first time someone is asking me. When Because in Pakistan there's a school, as in US you have a high school. Then we in your school, then we went to college, and you went to high school, and then you went to college or university, and we went to university. So when I was in the school till 10th standard, I was a little bit interested in the computer, because I have a computer in my home since 1992, when I wasn't born. So I have a computer in my home. My father used, because he has to do some office work, and his some books, like, because he is a writer, so he need to write something. So he always write by himself on the computer. So I'm watching computer when I open my eyes in the world, in this world, in this earth. So I have some interest. First, I was just play game on the computer, like Week of Two and Need for Speed and FS2, and then gradually we started GTA Vice City, and these kind of games I was interested. And after that, I have done my 12 years education, and I did selected the subject called computer. And after that, I have option either I should choose the computer engineering, or I should go to the field of the business or the art. So I say, no, I don't want to go in the art or the business field. I want to do something good in the computer science. So I have started software engineering. I've done my 4 years education on the university in software engineering. Then I did 2 years masters from the university, and then I went outside from the country for further studies. And then I went to China for 2 years. I studied there. I did job there with some companies, and there was a wonderful experience for my life, that I went to some other country on the fully bright scholarship. Even my plane ticket were booked by the government of Punjab, Pakistan, and they are bearing my all expenses. Either there's a book expenses, my monthly stipend, my university fees, my hostel fees, my plane tickets, everyone they are paying for me.
I completely agree with you. I tell people that it's really important to study abroad or to work abroad. It was really beneficial in my life. I studied in England for 3 months. England is a wonderful place to go. Um, and so I think it's really important to study abroad or to work abroad. So, what can you tell me about your experience, living in China? For one, where in China did you live?
I live in the Shanghai, one of the beautiful city in China, one of the largest city in China. It's a metropolitan city.
Sure.
You can meet people from all around the world. You want to meet Africans, you meet. You want to meet US, you can meet. You want to meet Australians, you can meet. You want to meet Indians, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan, every country, just name it. You found that people of that country in the Shanghai. And what did I did in Shanghai? I love the way of the living of Shanghai. The people are very good, cool, cool-minded. And what the university administration was very good of my university. I was studying in the Shanghai University, Baoshan campus, and then we did enjoy life of Shanghai, nightlife, morning life, everything I did enjoy it. I also played cricket there, because Chinese can't and do not play cricket. They play baseball or football or basketball, table tennis, ping pong, uh, these badminton, these kind of game. But I played 2 years professional cricket there with my Pakistani, Indian, Sri Lankan friends, and also there were some friends from West Indies, UK, USA, Australia, and we have some like 10 to 11 teams play whole season all around the year, every Saturday and Sunday. That's a wonderful experience. Uh, Enjoyed every aspect of my life in the Shanghai. And what? whenever you went abroad, you go there as an ambassador of your country. So I made a very good friend. Either they are from India, either they are from some other country. I made them a good friendship there. I showed my positive attitude, and everyone should have to show their positive attitude whenever either you are from USA or from any other country. You're going to some other country as abroad, as a student, a traveler or anything. You are an ambassador of your country, so you have to respect other, and you have to show some patience, some good attitude, so people should remember you in their mind, in their prayers.
Yeah, you are so right. You are 100% correct. In American English, we would say a good way to phrase it might be, we would say something like you really have to put your best foot forward. You really have to show your best. You want to show your best, the best side of your personality. You want to bring your A game when you're living in these
Exactly.
other in these other countries. I completely understand. And for those who do not know, as a matter of fact, I have experienced cricket. I do know what cricket is. But a lot of Americans, who most of my listeners are, don't really know. Guys, it's cricket is a sport that is similar to what it has
Baseball.
some similar, vaguely similar to baseball. Yeah, it's a similar game, not quite the same rules, but very similar to baseball. It is a kind of precursor to baseball. Yeah, and it's a
Yeah.
game that is very popular in Pakistan, India, your region, along with the Caribbean, and that part
England,
of the world.
national game of the England.
Yes, definitely. Well, that's really good. So, what I mean, now, what type of work were you doing? Was it a IT job, a software engineering job in Shanghai? What was that work?
I went to Shanghai for study purpose, and I lived there for 2 years for my study purpose. But beside this, I did some job on a student visa. Like I did 3 month job with IT company as a social media manager,
Hmm.
and I also teach in some school.
Really? Okay. Well, that's interesting. So, what did you teach in the school in Shanghai?
In Shanghai, I was a sports teacher, so I did teach them sports about football on the baseball. Uh, but what I learned in Shanghai is that when I was doing job as a social media manager, it's a pastime for me to learn things because I was doing job in like outside of my country, outside of my culture. So I learned a lot in that atmosphere. That was a very good thing for me in my CV, and plus it's a very wonderful thing in my life as a person.
Definitely, without doubt, it was. And how did you get this job as a sports teacher or physical education teacher? Were they like in this school in
Uh,
Shanghai?
it's
Were
it's
they
it's not a full-time job.
right?
Like my friend who was a sports teacher, he went his back to his country for 1.5 months. So at that 1.5 month in the summer camp, I was the substitute teacher.
Cool. Okay. Well, fine. And while you were living
I
in
went
China,
there. I went there. I give them an interview. I give them a like they ask me some questions regarding sports, and they say, "Show me how you play." Then I show them, and then they say, "Okay, you're okay."
that's cool. That's excellent.
So they take my test
So the what went after the what?
after.
I didn't quite catch what you said. Yeah.
I said when I went there as a substitute teacher. First of all, they took my test. Either I know how to play or not. Either know I know the rules and regulations of this game.
Right. That is that's really interesting. So did you learn any of the Chinese language? Did you learn any Mandarin? And can you speak Mandarin now?
Yeah, 我会是中文.
Oh, very good. That is excellent. Yes, I speak English and French, so I think it's really important to be able
Oh,
to speak other
that's
language.
great.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, when you can speak other languages, like my mother tongue is Urdu, and I'm speaking English. It's a positive for me. It's a positive edge for me. I will be either in the job or either in somewhere else. It's a better one for me. If I know Chinese, in the future, if someone Chinese came from the China, Pakistan, I can be their assistant, or I can assist them. I can help them, or they can take my help. Or if someone is going to China, or if someone is going to do a business with Chinese, so they can take my help. What he's saying or what she's saying, kindly tell us. So I always help them.
Mm, mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, that is really interesting. And so how are you spending your time nowadays, when you are not podcasting, when you are not recording interviews, you do some vlogs. What do you like to show on your vlogging? What can you tell us about that?
Okay, I do a different kind of vlogging, like all other people do vlogging. But what I have interest in some historical places. So I love to explore some historical places. If you know about Pakistan, you have learned about the civilization of the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. These are very ancient civilization in the world. So Mohenjo-daro, I love to explore these kind of places which are like 7,000 years
Mm.
all these are the hidden, especially the Pakistan. So I love to explore these kind of things. And whenever I travel from one city to another, I just save some moments in my camera or in my mobile. And when I have some time, spare time, I just open my laptop and do some editing, some basics editing. I'm not a good editor, but I know a little bit editing, so I do edit some of my videos and I put on my YouTube channel. And most of my videos on my YouTube channel are regarding podcasting. Like I have done 500 plus interviews, so I have 300 plus interviews on my YouTube channel, and also I have my some vlogs there. I went to some different cities, and then once a time I went to the northern area. Somehow I lost my mobile there. So after that, I didn't yet upload any vlogging video because I didn't have take some much time to editing these videos. I have videos on in my laptop saved, but I don't have any spare time right now because I'm too much
Mm.
busy nowadays with my job. So inshallah soon I will be take out some time. Like I need some 5 to 10 days, and in 5 to 10 days I can edit 5 to 10 videos.
Really good. Yeah, that's really, really excellent. So yeah, what can you tell me about these historic sites that you like going to? Because I love talking about history and archaeology and that type of thing. I love this topic. Tell me about it.
If you love archaeology and history, you should visit Pakistan. And whenever you visit Pakistan, there are some areas you should visit. These are the Mohenjo-daro, the Harappa. There are some excellent historical places in the northern areas of Pakistan where it's a beautiful valleys there. And then where I live, it's called the Cholistan Desert, one of the largest desert. We have beautiful forts there. We have palaces here because the Bahawalpur, the city I live, it's called the city of palaces. We have 5 palaces in our city, and before Pakistan, it was a state, and then it's merged into Pakistan, and the Bahawalpur was a richer state, and the Nawab of Bahawalpur was married to the daughter of Queen Elizabeth, like of England. So they have same kind of system war in the England. They have Rolls Royce car at that time in 1947, and they have not one Rolls Royce, not two Rolls Royce. They have 7 to 8 Rolls Royce cars. So it's a very rich state. We have a wonderful historic history. So whenever you are trying or you are willing to come Pakistan, just ping me up. I will be there, and I will guide you a detailed visit of Pakistan. Either you want to travel in the south, in the north, in the everywhere you want to travel, just tell me. I can because my father is a historian. He's a historian. He's a professor retired, and he did his PhD in the city I'm living right now. He did a PhD in this city called as Bahawalpur, and he wrote some books for the Oxford, and he also wrote his books like 4 to 5 books, and now recently he published his book regarding the history of Bahawalpur. So that's why I have a little bit interest regarding history because my father is a historian. So whenever he went to some city, so I need to go there with him, so I can take care.
That's really excellent. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's really important to remember the past and to understand history because we see clearly, as I'm sure you do, that history repeats itself, and it is. Now, I don't know if we're simply as a civilization doomed to repeat history because that's how it is, or if we truly are not learning history that we need to learn. I don't know. But I really appreciate that. And I fundamentally believe that if we never learn history, we'll never have a future. Or it's said in many philosophical ways, if you forget the past, you forgo the future. That type of mindset. So it's really really good, and that's really interesting. So, what are some what are some other like issues that you like to talk about on your channel?
Um, there's a lot of issues all around the world,
Hmm.
but nowadays I'm working on one issue, and that issue is thalassemia. Thalassemia is a medical disorder, and I'm working on the awareness of thalassemia in all around the Pakistan. So this is the issue. I'll have to talk about thalassemia. We teach people how to eradicate thalassemia from Pakistan because I am working on the goal thalassemia-free Pakistan. We want Pakistan free from thalassemia. Thalassemia is a medical disorder of the people who get close relation marriages, like first cousin marriages. They have some kind of problem when the child when they gives a birth to a child, the child doesn't produce a blood. So whole life that child has to transfuse blood and has to get some injection for iron and chelation like this. That child from the age of 3 months till until he has his life, he has to survive on the blood of some other people to get blood. Nowadays is very difficult, as you know, during the situation of pandemic situation of COVID-19, there was a zero donor because everyone was worried about COVID-19. So no one is going to willing to donate blood. Then people came out, social activists came out, and they started a whole campaign on the social media. And they went people from door to door, and they asked people, they educate people, kindly donate the blood at least after 90 days. So that's how we started donating the blood again. And Alhamdulillah, now we are working in all over the Pakistan to eradicate thalassemia.
Yeah, that's really important, sir. I appreciate you covering that medical issue. Sure. I mean, I until you mentioned it, I had not specifically heard of that, but thank you for educating me about it. It does not. I mean, it's incredibly serious. The other issue, just as serious, is that as you may or may not know, blindness is a
Yeah,
critical problem in your region,
yeah,
and
exactly.
there's many reasons, and there are many blind people in your country, along with the countries
These
around
are
you.
these are the also reason. These are the also reason of close relation marriages. The
Right,
people get blind child. I have a lot of my friends who are blind
right.
with different categories, A, B, and C.
Sure.
A is a full blind, B is a 50-50, and C he can see in the daytime, but he can't see in the nighttime. So
Right.
I have a friend, same like you, and whenever I ask what's the reason, because your father and mother are okay, why you are blind? So they have some like cases like their parents are the first cousins and they married, and then the child becomes
Yeah.
blind, or some have different kind of, some have the hearing problem,
Yep.
some can't speak. They have some problem like this. We have to resolve
Mhm.
these kind of issues. How how we can resolve this? We can resolve these issues by educating the people.
And you're 100% correct. I was about to ask that follow-up question. So how can we solve this problem? Because in America, Saeed, the truth of the matter is that life is, as you know, and clearly understand, life is not perfect. Life is not fair, and that's why life is interesting. So, in America, being a blind person is not nearly as challenging as it probably is for a blind person in Pakistan. It's not. It's not fair, but that's probably the truth. So
You're right.
right. So what do you think, can be done as far as, resolving some of these issues? What changes need to happen? What do you think?
What I think personally is that we should uh, teach every blind person, and they should have get some basic knowledge. If they have some basic knowledge, they can supervise themselves. They can help themselves by doing good medicine, by taking care of themselves, by taking care of hygiene and hygiene thing, by taking care of the belonging. So when they have some kind of knowledge, they can talk with people. They can make friends who can see. Like I have a friends who are blind, but why did they make me friend? Because they have some education. They can talk without any hesitation. They can talk with anyone with on any topic. You want they should talk on the politics, they can talk. You want they should talk on the religion, they can talk. You want they should talk on the movies, on something else, they can talk. Why? Because they have some knowledge. They know the world is like, nowadays it's a world of social media, and you are using the social media as you are blind, but you are still using the Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, and you are doing everything. How you are doing? How? The question is how. Why? There are two answers. One, you have a knowledge, you can learn how to learn. Second, that you want to learn new things. If you don't have a courage to learn new things, you can't do anything. Okay, you have to sleep at 10 o'clock. I'm going to sleep. You have to stay up early in the like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. You get up early in the morning. You did breakfast. Your mother, your cousin, your wife, if someone gave you breakfast, you did. If someone didn't give you breakfast, you didn't eat. So how you can live? You have to live in this situation. You have to do your work by self. You have to get some training. In China, I saw some Chinese blind. They were blind, and there is a society. I didn't remember the exact name of that society. They provide a Labrador dog to the blind person, and that dog is trained that he can't move, can't walk in a straight. He always walk in a slant way, so he can the person who is blind, he stand in his back, and the dog move in a slant way, so he can help, and no one can touch him. He don't like if someone is walking or someone is running, no one can hit him. The dog always walk in the front of his owner, and always move in the slant way, in the cross way, so he can save his honor.
Yes,
So
yes,
these kind of
yes,
things
yes.
we have to do. We have to do in Pakistan. We have to do in different countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the countries who are
Nepal.
under the
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nepal, Maldives.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. It's all so basically your philosophy in life is it's up to us to gain the knowledge. It's about whether we have the information or the knowledge or not. In other words, yes.
You
And
have
then
to
that
you have some knowledge, and plus you have some courage to do something. If you want, you should do some. You should have courage to take stand for yourself.
right, right. That's excellent advice, and that's it's you're very right about that. Yes, and that dog would have been we would say that was a guide dog or some sort of a guide. Yes, we have those in the United States, but yeah. What about there in Pakistan? Do they have any like service animals or service dogs there or
Now,
no? No.
now there is no kind of service in this. And there's also no service in the Pakistan, India, or South Asia, like these kind of countries. They don't have.
Right. Right.
Even
Yeah,
I
that's
think Malaysia don't have. There's only I saw in the Shanghai. I don't know about some small cities like Hangzhou, Suzhou, uh, Tianjin, and these small. I don't know about them, but I saw them in Shanghai. That's why I
right.
share with you.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I'm glad you brought up the issue of disability and blindness because I think that this is a topic that needs to be talked about more because as I said earlier, I do not have any Pakistani listeners. So I've
One thing I want to add here,
sure, sure, sure.
and first of all, I want to ask you that
Yes.
you have studied. So how you have studied? You have studied on the bill system, or you have studied on the e-books?
Excellent. So I went to university and I studied international studies, international relations. Much of
Oh
the
yeah.
coursework was done electronically. I did a lot of listening and things like that. But when I was a boy, because I am almost 30 years old. So when I was a boy, like in the 90s, we didn't have the technology we have today. So I had to have, Braille and things like that, to which you're very familiar. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Braille is seen as something as a lot would say, many would say it's obsolete, but in fact, it is a written language for blind people. So it is still critical and very, very, very important to learn. Yeah.
So now I would like to talk about you regarding
Sure.
blind. Like
Sure.
we don't have proper books in the braille system, and even we don't have proper books in like ebooks. We don't have, so a blind person can listen. So what they do, they ask their friends who can see, who can read, kindly came to us. Will have a cup of tea or have a glass of cold drink, and you just read that chapter. I listen and I will remind.
So
So it's
another,
difficult. It's
yeah.
difficult to study in Pakistan because they don't have a proper education on the Braille system. They don't have a proper e-books to listen their chapter wise, or they have like different kind of books they don't have on an e-book.
Right, right. And so this is, thank you for speaking up about it, and thank you for sharing it because this is why I wanted to connect with you. This is why I'm so pleased to have you on my channel, and on my on my podcast family, my podcast community now because these are the types of issues that we need to talk about because it's a problem and really there's really no excuse not to fix this problem with all the knowledgeable people in the world, such as yourself, Saeed, and all the great technology that we have, there's really no excuse why these problems can't be fixed. 20 or 30 years ago, when I was born or when I was, just a little boy, it was more understandable and certainly not justifiable by any means, yet it was more understandable for there to be more of these challenges. But now with technology, there's really no reason for Pakistan or any country to have to go through these problems. At least that's only my opinion, by the way.
Exactly, you're right.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, right now, the situation, of course, the situation with the pandemic has made everything just much more difficult. But let's go back in time. Let's go back before the pandemic. So, were the blind people in your country, were they like if they wanted to, could they take university classes or would they learn just like vocation? What is your sense on what was going on with them before the pandemic, let's say?
Before the pandemic,
Hmm.
there are very few students who are studying in the university. Just because I told you they don't have a proper books, or if they get admission in the university, people are not going to help them because one day someone can help, 2 days someone can help, but regularly for 4 years, no one is going to help them. No one is going to help them to reading every day lecture or lesson. They have
Right.
they have to follow these kind of problem. They have to face these kind of problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it would have been very difficult for them to be in the university, and then you have to find someone who's willing to read to you, and that's very difficult anywhere. So yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's quite a problem. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is one of my other and I'll have to think what it's called now. I'm more than happy to send you the video. I many months ago, or it might have even been close to a year ago, I recorded an episode here with a man. I forget if he's blind or not, but he's a Nepalese guy, and he set up an organization that helps blind people in his country. And what he's saying and what you're saying are very similar. That in the difference though is that in Nepal they have more tourism, so they're teaching the blind people there to set up tourist booths where they sell. It's near Mount Everest, so they sell like little soaps and candies and sodas and things like that. But it's still very difficult. Yeah, you would love that episode. But I think what you're saying is extremely true. So I mean, have you spoken to any of these other blind people, in your country about these matters, and what do they think about it?
Like there are some opportunities for the people who are
Hmm.
blind, like they can get some government job, and the government job is a very good. They have some good pay scale, and they have some good opportunity. Like if they are doing a job, they can get home near to the office or inside the office. So they have some good facility, but for that they have to study. And as I already told you that in Pakistan for blind and to study is not an easy game. It's a
Right.
difficult.
Sure. It's a very difficult thing to study enough to have it to be a civil servant or to be in the federal system of your country.
Exactly.
Sure.
But a lot of blind people are doing job in the government sector. Most of them are teaching in the blind school, and some also working in the district government's office as a telephone operator. And they, the blind people have a fantastic memory. If they met someone by shaking hand, the next time if you don't speak and you just shake hand, they say, "Hello, Said, how are you?" Without seeing you, they just shake your hand and they are going to tell you who are you. They have a
Hmm.
very good of sense, they have a very good of humor. They have an intelligent mind. Most of them people work in the call centers. Like you say, you have to call someone named Rizvi, and that blind people just call that number because once in a 10 years he called that number, and only one time he called that number he remembers the same telephone number after several years.
Sure, of course. I'm the same way with that type of
god
thing.
god god has taken their one ability, that's eyesight, but God has given them one extra ability to they can they are a very quick learner, they are a
Mm,
fast learner. Not only one person, I 99.9% of blind people are quick learners.
mm. Great. Well, I
It's
I appre-
according to it's according to me.
Well, okay then. Well then it must be true, right? If you said it, it's true, right? I
Yeah, it's
agree.
according to
I
me.
I agree. Yes, that is so good. That is so good.
And
Um,
you are the one of the most example.
and I'm one of the most what?
You are the one of example that who are the quick learner.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think and for
And
the Amer
one thing, that you are I think you are the first one as a blind person who is doing a video podcasting. I never saw anyone.
I am I appreciate I appreciate you thinking that, but the truth is I am most definitely not the first one. There are many famous blind YouTubers who are far more important than I and have a much larger audience that do very elaborate vlogs and very elaborate videos. But I appreciate it. Yes, perhaps you have
Are,
not.
are they doing all thing on their behalf, or they have some team?
They a lot of them do. A lot of the most prestigious channels have like a team behind them that that kind of supports it and kind of sets things up. Yeah. Hmm.
Exactly.
You're right.
That's how I'm talking. You are doing all of the thing alone. This is the best thing.
Right. I and that's what I like about this format, this very relaxed, open conversation, is that we're able to
Exactly.
have the conversation without the extra, drama behind it. But it is very interesting. Yes, there are many famous blind YouTubers all over all over North America. After this recording, I will certainly add you to my WhatsApp group, and then you can meet all the guests from around the world who've
Sure, why
participated.
not?
Yeah, of course I'm going to add you.
And and, and,
Several.
and I would love to take their interviews.
Well, Dill, fine. I'll get you someone. I'll
and
get
you
you someone to
and you are
interview.
going and you are going to help me out to reach these people, because now we are friends.
So now it's become my responsibility to find people for
Yeah.
you to interview.
Now you are going to help me out to find
Of
more
course.
guests.
I know several people who would just
Great, that's great.
but after I just love your personality, man. I love your motivation and you're just so willing, and that's so good. Once I add you to the group and you introduce yourself and you tell your story, you'll definitely get some people who will want to be interviewed by you. A whole long list of people. I wouldn't mind for you to connect though with this Nepalese guy. I forget if he's in my group, but I'll certainly let him know, because he does a lot. You would be very interested. It's very important. He does a lot of charity work in Nepal in your region,
Great, great.
and he's also someone who helps people to build businesses. So he in particular would be interesting. But there's a whole long list of people from all over the universe on my group. But I think if you cover and if you talk about and educate people about these topics, about disabilities, and about the challenge and the need for knowledge, I think you'll help a lot of people. I really really do.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
should, we should.
So, but I mean, as far as your day job and your business, like what types of software things are you doing in your business? Do you work for a company like in a business, or
Okay,
what do you
okay.
do?
I'm going to tell you about my job.
Yeah.
I'm working currently as a team lead in the company named as elan.com. It's a company that helps people to get the land, the houses. It's a company is in a real estate. So I am the head of a city called Bahawalpur. I'm leading them. I have a person in sales team. I have a product team. We do we're providing a service. We are a service provider. So we are providing some services to the customers, and our customers are the real estate agents. Plus, I'm working as a social media manager, as a freelancer with two or three companies. I'm running their Facebook pages, their Instagram handlers, their Twitter handler, and I'm providing them social media services. And rather, as I told you, I'm an interviewer. I'm working with an organization called the Han Foundation, and I'm working as an interviewer there. And that's my all day. And I have some like everyone has some kind of things to do in a spare time. I love to have some pets, so I have some pets.
Oh, you do. Oh, you do. That is good. So what animals do you have? What pets do you have?
I don't have an
Oh,
animal.
oh,
I
sorry. I
have
thought. Oh, I
birds.
thought. Oh, you have what?
Birds.
You do? I
Yeah.
I love birds.
I have a
You
green parrots, Australian parrots,
real
cocktails.
do you know that it's my dream to have a parrot? What parrots do you have?
I have a green parrots right now, the ringneck.
Indian ringneck.
Yeah,
Oh, yes. Yes.
and then he whistle like with me, like whenever I say, and he just give me an example. He said me too, and he spoke, yeah, me too. How are you? So he spoke whatever I say.
Wow, wow, man, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, so that's just the best thing. That is the best thing ever. So how did you get into parrots? How did you get into that?
When I was a child,
Mm-hmm.
so I love to have some things. I have goat at that time when I was a child. Then I have some like of hens, and then I started uh, having with Australian budgies. Then I started with cocktail. Now I started with the green ring neck parrot, the Indian green ring neck parrot.
Yeah, see, and in different regions call it different. In North America, we call it the Indian ringneck parakeet. Yeah, yeah, that's what we
Yeah,
call it.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I know
And
it.
it's too big. It's too big.
Right, it's not little. They're pretty big. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And they also have one more parrot that's called the simple green ring neck.
Hmm.
It's not too big. It's not too big, and he can also whistle and speak.
That's excellent. My dream is to have a Cape parrot. They're from South Africa. They're kind of
Yeah, I know.
olive. Oh, well, good. Well, you should get a Cape parrot and tell me how great Cape parrots are because my dream is a Cape.
It's very expensive, and it's not easy to handle that bird. But
Yeah, it is.
in the area you are living, you can handle it because the atmosphere
Ah,
in the North America is good as compared to Pakistan.
I
We have too
that's
much
that's
hot.
in yeah, no, they're extremely expensive here too. In America, birds are extremely expensive. They're expensive everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
because these are the rare kind of species.
I see. Well, all of that is really excellent. Um, so what was I going? What was I going? I was gonna ask you something. But yeah, that's all. That is all really excellent.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You said okay. I remembered. Um, you said that you're working. You do these interviews, but then you also do some work for some foundation. What is that foundation? Can you tell me more
Uh,
about that?
and the foundation name is Rehan Foundation. And as I'm an interviewer, we have like a team of more than 10 people. We have a little girls child like of age of 13 or 12-year-old till the interview we have age of 60 years old. So we have various kind of people of different kind of ages, and all are doing interviews all around the world, not only in Pakistan, but they're also doing interviews all around the world. And I would love to connect with you, so they should take your interview.
Sure, sure. You, I
And
would.
that's how you have a good new followership in the Pakistan.
Well, excellent. Well, excellent. I would be happy to interview that organization. Sure, definitely. But I understand they do interviews, but what does that foundation do? Like, what is the history
Like
behind that foundation?
as you know, after the COVID-19, everyone was too much frustrated what to do, how to do. So the Han Foundation came up with an idea. So after 2 or 3 years, the industry of television is going to be end, and the social media industry is going to be the top most ranked uh, thing in the world. So they came up with an idea. Say, why not we made our team, and when people need as an interview as a program host, we will provide them a good communicator, good presenter, good interviewer. So that's how after 1 or 2 years, the market is going to be asking us, would you like to work with us? We'll give you this kind of pay. What's your demand? How much you want to we should you pay? So these kind of things is coming in the coming few years.
Good, good, good. That is great. So you've interviewed a lot of people from around the world, but you've traveled to China, but where else have you been?
I went to China and Sri Lanka as a transit visa for
Mm-hmm.
like for some few hours, 14 to 16 hours. I stay there. I visit Colombo, the city near to Colombo.
It's really excellent. Now, what about, Europe and have you traveled to other regions of the world?
Not yet,
That is fine. That is fine.
but
So
soon I will be traveling to US after
so
the situation of COVID.
excellent. So what are some topics that you hope to include on your podcast in the future?
In my podcast, I invite any of the person, but we don't talk about two or three things. Number one, we don't talk about the politics. Number two, we don't talk about the religious things because I have a friends of different kind of religion aspects. Some are Muslim, some are Christian, some are Jews, some are Hindu, some are Sikh. So we don't talk on the religious aspects, hate speech. We don't talk on the hate speech.
Right. Good.
We have some
But
SOPs, so we have to follow these kind of things.
mm-hmm. Sure. 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 And what are some activities that you hope to do or that you want to get into, after things start to, get back to normal and, things get back into the swing of things? What are some other activities you want to add, into your
The
life?
one thing that's in my pipeline is to travel from Karachi to Khanjura Pass. It almost takes 3 to 4 months. I'm going to explore every single city. That's my dream.
So you really love going on trips where you do a lot of exploration, right?
Yeah, I love to explore new things.
Right. Well, that is really good. That is really
And when you explore new things, you have an option, you have a chance, opportunity to make a new friends from new area.
right. Definitely. That is the case. That is
Yeah,
that
that
is definitely.
that's why I love to travel. I love to make new friends.
Well, that's an excellent reason to travel, just to make new friends and
Yeah,
to experience life and to experience new friends.
experience friends of any kind of age, any kind of religion, any kind of sector. So once I travel, we travel as a family.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Very, very nice. Yeah. I've heard of people doing very long and extensive hikes too. There's a lot of famous hiking trails in the United States and all over the world where it would take you several months to walk the entire trail. Could you see yourself going on a long range hike? What do you think?
Didn't yet plan. Yeah, but what I love if I have a chance to get to K2 at least till base camp.
Ah, I see. I see. That's very interesting. Yeah, I just
But
meant that.
but without preparation, you can't go there.
Right, right. Sure, sure. Definitely not. Right. No, I just meant, because some people come to the United States and they hike the Pacific Crest Trail, they hike the Appalachian. There's a lot of famous trails that you can hike, in North America that go on for many, many miles that are very long. So,
Yeah,
yes.
there are some these kind of hikes in also in the Pakistan, but in the North America they are very very big. Like you have to, if you want to do this, you have like a month. You need a
hmm
month to travel these kind of tracks.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, but for traveling, you should have some good amount of money in your pocket,
That's
or
true.
you have a good sponsor, or you have a good sponsor. Right now, I don't have a sponsor, so that's why I'm working with two or three organizations to fulfill my pocket, and then after that, I'm going to move towards different cities.
Hmm. Really, really, really excellent, I think. So, what are some questions that you have for me, by the way? Because I've asked you a lot today. What do you want to know about me?
I would love to know about you, but in my podcast.
I see. I see. Well, that is an excellent way to that is an excellent way to bring this lovely episode to a close. Syed, it really has been a pleasure having you here at Aaron's Opinion. You're always welcome on the podcast. Um, but yeah, really though, I mean, if you could ask me only one question to really make me sweat, to really see if I'm worth my
Sure,
salt.
sure. Why not? Why not? Why not? I would love to know. Ask about Aaron. You should tell me about Pakistan. What was you thinking before doing this interview?
So
What were
that's
you
a
thinking about me and Pakistan?
Well, really, it's interesting you say it because when I was in university, I've actually met several people from Pakistan before, and I know a lot about your country's history. So I didn't really think of it. I wasn't really thinking of your country. I was thinking that you're just another great person to have on the podcast, and I was not concerned with your origins, with your country. But certainly, I mean, Americans know about Pakistan a little bit, but probably not a whole lot. But you're an excellent interviewer, and I'm so glad that we're able to include you. That's the takeaway point. Definitely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for a wonderful time, a wonderful interview. You are a wonderful podcaster, and soon I'm going to take your live interview on the Facebook and on the YouTube.
We should definitely set that up at some point. All right. I would
Sure.
love to. All right. Well,
Thank you so much.
always welcome. Let's end it right there. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much. That was a great episode, and we'll see you next time.